Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Nedling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Nedling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I am very excited to have with me Jen Esparza. And let me tell you about Jen. She has spent her career immersed in the creative industry, leading marketing efforts for a diverse range of campaigns, from government programs to children's theater. As the owner of a marketing agency that specializes in helping nonprofits and small businesses, Jen is deeply committed to empowering business leaders and helping them succeed. She is the author of Marketing Basics for Your Small Business and is excited to share her newly released Marketing Basics for Nonprofits. Today we're going to talk about something that I know you all need to hear and you want to know. So for those that are just listening, please get your paper and pen out for some notes. We're going to talk about email marketing that isn't annoying. You're looking at me like, is that possible? Well, Jen's going to tell us how. So please join me in welcoming my guest, Jen Esparza. Oh,
Thank you.
Jen,
Thank you
I'm
for
just going
having
to
me.
be so happy to have all this, going to be a sponge and absorb everything you have to say today.
Good, because it does apply to anyone who's doing email marketing. So,
Yeah, awesome. So what part of the country do you live in? Where do you call home right now?
so I live in Northern California. I've been here my entire life, stayed in the same town, third generation. So, lots of roots here.
Yeah, love California. Been there several times. So we want to know, in your intro, I just told about what you're doing today, your success and 2 books and all this, and people think, oh, how can I be there? And I'd love for you to share a bit about the journey that the different paths that led you to where you are today, some of the challenges and obstacles you had to overcome so that the audience can really understand that it isn't a straight line, that there are a roller coaster of a ride as an entrepreneur, but it's also worth it. So go ahead and tell us your story.
Definitely. So, I spent almost 20 years with a normal career when I was working for somebody else. And about 6 months before the pandemic, I finally decided that I just wasn't happy. I didn't love my job. I didn't love what I was doing. Life is too short to not be happy and love what you're doing. I feel like I have some God-given gifts that I was not using. So I left my job and I became, and during that time, I was the marketing director for a nonprofit, but I was also, that was like a part-time thing. And so I went to work for a magazine as their editor, which was like a dream job. I love writing, I love the creativity. And then the pandemic hit. And so here I just took this huge leap of faith of leaving, this really, cushy career that was safe and all those good things, but not fulfilling. And then I ended up without a job. So the magazine went out of business, and I was left there with my part-time marketing director job, going, what do I do next? And I honestly never saw myself as an entrepreneur. But I do have this thread through my entire life where I've been a helper. I mean, even going so far back to grade school, when you're the kid who offers to pass out the papers for the teacher, like that was me. And so I'm not surprised that I ended up where I am, because I continue to love what I do because of the way I get to help people. So I had a friend who needed some marketing work for his business, and he's like, "Hey, you're not busy. You want to help me?" And that was a catalyst into figuring out, like, wow, this is amazing. You are a great business owner. You have a great business, a solid product, but you, one, don't have time to market, and two, you don't know how. Like, these small business owners or a nonprofit leader gets into their job thinking they've got this great passion or this great talent, and they're not set up to do HR and bookkeeping and legal and marketing. So
Yeah.
um, that was really the catalyst to deciding, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to, start my own business. um, and so when I started that, it was, really successful right off the bat. I had great referrals. My clients were referring me to, their friends. And I realized I can't help as many people as I want to help by myself. And so that's why I wrote the book, Marketing Basics for Your Small Business, because paired with my passion for writing anyhow, and then this, passion for being able to help these small businesses, I wanted to put a tool in their hand that if they were, brand new business and they weren't ready to hire somebody, or maybe they really want to do it themselves. They have a creative passion, but they just didn't know where to start. I wanted to give them a tool where they would be able to go, these are the basics. This isn't all the jargon down a rabbit hole of, you know, words they don't understand and concepts they don't
Yeah.
understand, but really just a solid foundation for their business.
Awesome. So, what are some of the common marketing mistakes that small business owners or nonprofits really make, and how do you suggest that they overcome them?
Well, so, back to what I was just saying about the book and the foundational things, sometimes people start off and they're really successful right off the bat. So they're kind of, what is that, like building the bus as they drive, or whatever that saying
Yeah,
is.
right, right.
And they are super busy, so they don't think they necessarily need marketing or branding or to understand their target audience. So they just jump in and start doing the work. Well, after 6 months, the friend of the friend of the friend who was keeping them busy has already had their service and doesn't need them. And now the phone's not ringing. And they haven't spent that time building,
Mm,
their audience, or knowing who their customer is, or building some branding, building brand recognition. And so it's almost like starting from scratch and then they're more panicked because they've already jumped in with 2 feet. They've got a business and they're like, oh, wait, now I have to keep my employees fed and I don't have any work. So the first part of my book is really, it's all an assessment about like what your value proposition is, figuring out your branding, and not just like things you should have like colors and a logo, and consistency, but really understanding like what is your message, and
yeah,
who's your target audience, and really doing a deep dive into that, and making sure that all those foundational pieces are set up so that when the phone might not be ringing, you've already laid that foundation to, kind of be your jumping
message
point
them.
to continue your marketing.
Yeah. So you talked about identifying the target audience. Is there one or two things that you would call as a starting point for doing that? Because I think that's one of those things that I think people put on their list, and then they have some other shiny object that comes up, and they don't really get to it, or they don't really um, understand who their target audience is.
Yeah, and like this shiny object syndrome, like you said, like just so everyone understands, like you're normal if that's you and that's me, and it's all of us to a degree. So I tell you all these things that are like the things you should do, but I also totally get that we're human and there's only so many hours in the day and we're striving for balance. So
Yeah.
I also say that, with grace of these are the things you should do, but give yourself some grace too. Like, just if you're not achieving them right away, doesn't mean you failed. Um, Okay, so you just asked me shiny object. Hold on.
Yeah. So what is
Oh, target
what
audience.
are yeah, what are one or two things that maybe could be a springboard for them to start thinking, oh, that's who I am and why I do what I do, and that's who I should be looking for in my audience.
So I would say definitely know that you do have a target audience. You should have, you can have more than one customer avatar, and that would be like the description of who your, ideal customer is. But it's easy to say, well, if you're a plumber or you have a coffee shop, like, well, I serve anyone, I'd help anyone. But if you try to do marketing for everyone, it's truly going to land on no one. So understanding that by having customer avatars, it does not make you like you're trying to leave anybody out or that you won't help people. It just really helps narrow the focus so that you understand who you're giving your message to make sure it'll resonate with them. And by doing that, you can just really look at what product you're offering. I mean, literally the demographics of where are you located? Are they living in the suburbs? Are they living in the city? Are they commuting? Do they have full-time jobs? Do they have children? What are their ages? And really, it's just understanding that you definitely do have, you should have a customer avatar, and it's okay to have more than one. I'd like to use the example of this company who sold nutritional supplements, and they have multiple customer avatars because they will have various people they serve, but they were very specific about it. So it was like, they had somebody who was maybe a bodybuilder, and his concerns were really about, muscle and endurance and things like that. Whereas a new mom might just be trying to take some supplements to help her, feed her
Stay
baby.
awake.
And then maybe a 60-year-old woman who is just still trying to, keep up with her grandkids and wants to have vitality. And but they're very specific. They name them, they put a face to them.
Yeah.
Yes, the name's fake, and then face is fake. I find, when I do this for customers or my clients, I go and find a picture online that would match who this person is. But that way you've literally got somebody that you're looking at. And if I suggest you even put it in a frame and take it to your board meetings or take it to your meetings with you. And you're looking there at Susie Jones and you're like, well, would Susie buy this? Well, where does Susie live? Well, how is Susie going to get this? Well, how is she going to hear about it? What social channels is she on? And really, try to be as specific as possible so that it makes sense to you.
Excellent. So, what are some practical tips to increase the engagement and retention through email marketing?
Yeah, so when you're sending emails, there is no magic number about how many you can send, but we're all consumers. So we know what it's like to get emails that we don't want. But sometimes we forget that, like, just because the shoe store I shop at emails me every single day and I have to unsubscribe because they do not want to hear about shoes every day. Sometimes we forget, like, well, what do you mean someone doesn't want to hear from me twice a week? Like, I'm wonderful. And you are wonderful. But you really have to be mindful of your audience's time. So really having a plan as to, like, what is the purpose of an email? Let's just say you want to send out a monthly newsletter. Like, that's fine. Once a month, easy peasy. But still you need a purpose behind it because nobody wants to open it up and see the same thing every single month. Something that doesn't feel personal, something that doesn't apply to them, something that doesn't help them, that's going to cause your unsubscribe. So making sure that the material in that is that you develop a consistency that they know when they open it, they're going to actually get value. Whether it's some helpful tips or it's going to be this month's sale or it's going to be a new recipe, whatever it is, they need to trust you that you are using their time wisely. And so if maybe someone in real estate, maybe it's more appropriate that they send something once a week because they want to send all of their new homes or whatever. You need to make sure that your email list is segmented so that only the interested people are getting that. So if I just bought a home, I really hope that my last realtor is not sending me something every week because I don't need a house. But I would like her to keep in touch. So I would like to hear, maybe quarterly about the new spring cleaning tips and what interest rates are looking like, and maybe I could refinance, or I don't know, but really segmenting the audience to make sure the information you're sending is going to the right people will help you not get those unsubscribes. And then also what I like to make sure I recommend is that you're adding places in your in the email for them to actually click a link to continue on somewhere, because the more you do that, the more data you get back. So like I use MailChimp. There's a dozen out there that different providers you could use. But when I get my report from MailChimp, I know who opened my email so I can see how many, and then I can see how many people clicked on each link I provided. So the more opportunities I give them to interact with the newsletter, I can tell, well, gosh, no one's ever clicking on my blog. So maybe I should stop blogging, or everyone's clicking on my blog. Maybe I should do that more. And so really giving them that opportunity to interact gives you more data to understand what your readers want, what they like, so you can, make sure you're catering to that.
Yeah. Today I just got from AARP a their normal, email that they have, but what caught my attention was that they had a recipe. And you don't normally get that from AARP, but it was a healthy recipe. And then when I clicked on it, the picture was engaging and the recipe was simple to do and it sounded good. And so I clicked on it. I got it, and I'm thinking I would have, normally I wouldn't have expected that from AARP. And so I
Now,
guess,
next time you see that email from them, you might open another email because you're like, wow, that last recipe was a winner. Maybe they're going to give me another one. And that
yeah,
creates that opportunity for them to, at least you're opening the email.
that's exactly right. So
Mhm.
as I teach public speaking and coaching in being more engaging online and in person, and storytelling is a big part of that. So how do we leverage storytelling in marketing to really attract people to want to just click more and stay with us? And I think really it also builds relationships that keep you getting those long-term customers, those retained customers.
Yeah, for my like small business clients, I will definitely say that, especially for this, and this applies, to a small business, that they're not buying your product because you have 20 years experience and because you're the best in the industry. They're doing it because they like you and what you portray. Like, they've heard great things about your company. They've
Mm,
heard that you provide great service. You always clean up after yourself. Or if you're a restaurant or something, you always have excellent customer service. Your food is terrific. You don't take too long. They've heard these wonderful things about you. They know you, they like you, they trust you.
yeah.
So really, when you're trying to storytell, it's telling those pieces of your story rather than your resume. And your
Mhm.
resume is great and it's important. And if somebody's going to install something electrical in my home, I want to know they're certified. But that's not the first thing I'm looking for. And so really creating a balance between, like, yes, we're experts, we know what we're talking about, but like you said, creating that relationship and having that
Yeah.
personal connection with somebody of, how are you solving their problem? What does the story say that actually makes them the hero in the story? Not, oh, I've been doing marketing for 20 years, but would you like to have more time in the day? Would you like to not worry about your marketing? Do
Mm.
you want to have a, stronger business? And things that will actually make them go, oh my gosh, I see myself in that story. That's me. Will help them be more attracted to you than the one who's just touting, the best deal of the week, or their, years of experience, things like that.
Mm. I know whenever I put anything out about anti-aging and the company that I work with on that, it's best if I just show my results and my experience, because then it seems more authentic then. And I could show them thousands of pictures of other people and their experience, and that might help the credibility. But I think people resonate more whenever you tell your story.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really, when the nonprofits I work with, this is really important for them because sometimes they
Yeah.
get very caught up in numbers, and because they're trying to hit a benchmark for a grant to show like they've served so many, or they're just trying to, keep up with, get new donors, and they are forgetting that, my gosh, do they all have such a great story to tell? And so when they can tell their story, and instead of just, we've served this many, but this is who we served and this is how we helped, and including that relational piece in there, that's what changes hearts. That's
Mm.
what changes, people's minds. So not getting so caught up in just the facts, but having that
Yeah.
relational piece in there and helping them see themselves in it is so important.
Yeah, I think that's true because, people really just care about themselves and what is going to help me, what's in
Yeah,
it for me.
yeah.
What are some low cost and free marketing tools that a small business, a solopreneur, a nonprofit, whomever can use to really boost their marketing efforts?
Well, I would say, as far as email goes, definitely make sure that you are using some sort of provider like MailChimp or ConvertKit or HubSpot or Constant Contact, and not just your Gmail. And that's for two reasons. One is you're just giving Gmail free advertising. There is no reason why your email should not be part of your domain. So, like, my
Hmm.
email is jen@thejenadvantage.com, because anytime you have to say it or write it, you're thinking about my business, and my business name is the Jen
Hmm.
Advantage. If it was just Gmail, you wouldn't know who
Yeah,
Jen was.
that's true.
So you're giving Gmail just this free rent by every time you give somebody your email instead of actually letting your business name resonate with people. And then also, the rules and laws have changed so much, as far as trying to cut down on spam, that if you're sending any bulk number of emails out of your Gmail account, they're oftentimes getting flagged as spam and not ending up in
Yeah.
people's inbox. And it's a shame to go through that much trouble of collecting people's emails and trying to do that just to fail. So, MailChimp starts at like $13 a month. I'm not sure the others, but I know they're all, somewhere about $20 a month. That's a really low cost, low barrier to entry. And they make it so easy to have, like, really, nice templates. They can be as simple or as complex as you want. But you can add in your brand colors, make them look, really nice. And that is going to land in someone's box and be more eye catching for someone to open and continue reading than just using Gmail. Um, and then the other thing for, a nonprofit or for a small business, tools like Canva for creating any of your images is so nice to help
Mm.
you create some consistent look, consistent branding. And it's super low cost. I don't remember now how much it is. It's like $12 a month, but nonprofits can get it for free. Nonprofits and teachers, I believe. So,
Mhm.
it's really easy. Or even using, like, for nonprofits, there's something called TechSoup, and there's all kinds of free or really low cost types of technology you can get through there. But Canva, you could just apply right on their website. So I love
Mhm.
Canva for that.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, how can a strong brand identify both small bit, how can a strong brand identity, I can say this, help both the small business and the nonprofit? We talked about um, knowing who you are and what you are, but really, I don't know that everyone thinks about their brand identity whenever they start their business.
So it's kind of that twofold answer there. So one, if we're just talking like identity as far as recognition goes, I tell a story in my book how there was a new handyman company in my area, and I saw, like, little, the little lawn signs, a couple in my neighborhood, and then, like, a week later, I saw a truck, and it was all wrapped, and I'm like, oh wow, like, it's a legitimate company. They didn't just put signs up. There's a truck. And then I heard an ad on the radio station, and I was like, wow, like, they're big time if they've even got that. And so, and then I actually saw them at, like, a downtown fair, summer fair, and they had a booth, and I stopped to tell them, like, this is great. I'm actually getting all these multiple touches about your service. Oh, and I think I saw someone talk about them on Nextdoor. Um, and that's building legitimacy. Like, I don't need a handyman yet,
Yeah,
but I'm not going to forget you because I keep seeing they have the same logo, this
yeah.
cute little handyman guy, the same colors, the same fonts, the same everything, the same messaging all the way across. So every time I recognized it, it was just one more place of them building that trust
Mhm.
in my brain. Like, oh, okay, this is a good company. When I need a handyman, I'm going to call them. And oftentimes, where Canva cannot be good is people get way too excited about all their templates and options. And so if you're like, let's say you're a house cleaner and you've got this magnet on your car, and it's got, a picture of, like, a broom and, somebody sweeping. And then you're passing out business cards that have, like, flowers on them because you thought that was cute. Um, and then your Instagram is, like, all random things. I might have seen all three of those, but every time I see them, it's like I'm learning about your company for the very first time because there's no recognition.
Yeah,
So I see that
that's right.
car, the magnet, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I need to someone to clean my house. And then I meet you and you hand me your card, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. I still need to research that. And then I see your Instagram and I'm still thinking that same thing. But if you had consistent marketing, I'd be like, oh, that's that person I met. Oh, and I saw their car. And yeah, okay, I'll use them. So as far as like that piece goes, that's super important. But as far as identity goes, with just like your messaging, your core values, and who you are, um, things like building your Google reviews or your Yelp reviews um, really say so much about who you are as a company. And I laugh when I've had people say, "Well, I'm afraid I'll get a bad review." And I'm like, "Well, if you're afraid you're going to get bad reviews, maybe we should talk about why you're afraid." Maybe
Yeah.
something else, but really just building that trust in your customers so that people don't want to refer you.
Mm.
And that all goes back to your core values and really what your,
Yeah.
where your value proposition is and what you're truly trying to do and how you're trying to serve customers. Because that will show through with your brand identity, with how quality your work is, when you show up on time, that you have a great guarantee, you stand behind the product, all those things.
Awesome. Well, time has flown by as I knew it would. And it's time now for me to share the contact information for Jen. If you're just listening, this is when you really need that pen and paper. But if you are watching, you can get the information in a moment on just grabbing a screenshot. All this information is going to be on my YouTube channel, Vicky Netling. So please subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have, thank you. And you can also subscribe to Vicky, my website, which is findyourleadershipconfidence.com. So the website is thejenadvantage.com. Again, thejenadvantage.com. On Facebook, it is The Jen Advantage. LinkedIn is Jen Esparza, and that's Esparza, and then some numbers. Don't worry about that. Just do Jen Esparza. And then Instagram is The Jen Advantage. I'm going to turn it over to Jen. She's going to talk to you about the great resources that she has out on her website, other things she puts out there, blogs, as well as what she puts out on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So please, Jen, take it over.
Thank you. Yeah, so on my website, I've actually got quite a few downloadable resources that are totally free. Both my books, Marketing Basics for Nonprofits and Marketing Basics for Your Small Business, those have free workbooks that go along with them. So you can get those on Amazon. You get the books on Amazon, Walmart, Barnes and Noble, anywhere you want to buy a book, they can order it for you. But when you buy the book, it'll tell you in there, like you can download these workbooks or worksheets, and it really helps you go through the book. But even if you aren't working through the book, they can still help you with things like creating SMART goals and creating your plans and all that for your business. There's also a lot of other downloadable resources just to help you with things like I've got one on there about email marketing and all other kinds of resources. And then on Instagram and Facebook or LinkedIn, I frequently post, what's new in the world of marketing. So when like Instagram's been making some recent changes, and those are things I'll pop on to talk about, just so you can stay updated, or offering you tips about, different ways that you can just easily implement ideas for your marketing so that it doesn't feel quite so overwhelming, but you can still feel the impact. So I would also love to offer your listeners, offer this if they want like a 30-minute free phone call. They are more than welcome. They can go on my website and just create the contact form and send me an email, and I would be happy to just do a free 30-minute consultation with what they're doing with their marketing, what they have questions about, what they might need, and just to help give them a little bit of guidance, in whatever direction it is they're trying to go, so that they've got a second opinion. Because being an entrepreneur can be kind of lonely if you're working by yourself in a silo. And I think it really helps us to have someone to bounce ideas off of. So I'm happy to be that resource for them.
Awesome, Jen. Thank you for all that you do, for being so willing to share wonderful tips that we all could relate to and hopefully put into practice. As always, I just thank you for being such an engaging guest today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was really fun.
As I'd like for you to please remember out there, as I remind you every time, that life is a journey and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicky Netling signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Nedling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.